what's up guys? My name is Zack and today I am driving a 2003 Chrysler PT Cruiser Limited. Up front is a 2.4 liter inline 4 and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be making this video here today because the PT Cruiser is just one of those cars. Everyone knows what a PT Cruiser is, whether you're a car person or not. This is also a really clean example, only 116,000 miles on it, but also really well kept. And it has a lot of really cool and unique features that I missed on my initial 2008 PT Cruiser review that I did in 2022. And so we're gonna remedy that here today. We're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive into the PT Cruiser of what it was and now what it means today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2.4 liter under the hood. Well, the engine was used in a lot of other vehicles, especially some that we've seen here on the channel. Vehicles like the Plymouth Breeze, the Jeep Liberty, and Jeep Wrangler from 03 to 06, Dodge Stratus, Chrysler Cirrus, the Cloud Cars, that sort of thing. It makes about 150 horsepower, which is fine, and we'll talk a little bit later on. It's actually nicer than the competition at the time, so that is nice to see. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission. It runs well, it shifts well. I don't trust Chrysler transmissions from this era all that much. However, you could find these in a 5-speed manual, and I would probably recommend searching one of those out, not only for enjoyment purposes, but they do hold up a little bit better. Last but not least, the Chrysler PT Cruiser is front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive a PT Cruiser? Well, it's a little interesting because you sort of sit pretty high up. It feels like you're sitting on top of the chassis rather than in the vehicle. Visibility is okay. You do have decently thick A-pillars, but the windshield is pretty wide, so it's not really that big of an issue. The ride quality is stiff. It's definitely not a cushy, cozy ride, but when used as a utility vehicle, that kind of makes sense, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 main gauges. Off to the left is my fuel and coolant temperature, in the center is my speedometer, and off to the right is my tachometer. On the steering wheel, we don't have any forward-facing buttons besides a little cruise control stalk to the bottom right, but I have these really thin spokes, which I actually quite like, and make it comfortable for cruising around town. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, our mirror switches, and moving on to the door, we just have lock and unlock because the window switches are in the center. They're also accompanied by 2 climate control vents, but the window switches are found in the center much like a Jeep product. This is very interesting. I know that the PT Cruiser was sold overseas, which might make this for simplicity's sake, but at the same time, there was other Chrysler products sold overseas that they didn't do this with, so kind of unique to see. Down below, we do have our climate controls, fan speed off to the left, where to send it in the center, and temperature off to the right, as well as our recirculating. However, what's interesting is that there is no AC button. You actually just turn the fan knob either to the left for AC and fan, or to the right for just fan. An odd way of doing it that most other cars don't do. Down below that, we do have our typical Chrysler radio. Absolutely love to see this. I've driven so many cars with this, and I grew up with so many cars with this. My parents owned a 2004 Chrysler Pacifica, so this is a very welcome and familiar sight. And then down below, we have our rear defrost, our rear wiper, traction control off, and a power outlet that will work no matter if the vehicle is on or off. That's what the battery logo means. If it has a key logo, that means it will only work when the vehicle is turned on, which we'll talk about later on with the trunk. Then we do have some more cubby space, a cigarette lighter, and our cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test. However, unfortunately, yet very predictably, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do have a bunch of coin holders and the shifter. The shifter is a sort of hot rod style shifter, which I really enjoy and definitely matches the exterior vibe, which I feel like I keep saying it, but we will talk about that stuff later as well. There's a lot to talk about. But then, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I just noticed while driving that there's a second cup holder. I did not see this on my first walkthrough, and so we'll put the big friggin' bottle in here. And ladies and gentlemen, it passes. I thought that this failed, but it actually ends up passing. passing. What a marvelous automobile. Then we do have a bunch of coin holders and the shifter is a sort of hot rod style shifter, which I really enjoy and definitely matches the exterior vibe, which I parking brake off to the right, and then we'll talk about the seats. The seats are half power, meaning they are power up and down, but manual for everything else. And they are heated, and the front two seats have airbags in them, which for 2003 in a semi-economy car, that's very nice to have. The passenger seat also has some quirkiness to it. You can be folded all the way flat to be used as a table, or there is a little drawer underneath it for some added storage, which is really cool. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2003 Chrysler PT Cruiser Limited, and a couple of things to note. The seat is angled back a little bit, so like up here I feel a little bit claustrophobic, but I don't have a lack of room, which is really, really nice. Knees fit, head fits, which is not always the case. I got a big cranium on this kid, and that's nice to see. If you're gonna fit people back here, they are going to fit pretty well. It's easy to get in and out of because of the ride height. However, something interesting is that the window switches, like up front, are actually still in the center, but because the center console's so low, they're down by your feet, so I can't imagine how many people throughout history have accidentally kicked the window switch and their window rolls down and they're confused about what's happening, and of course chaos would ensue. So kind of an interesting thing there. I don't get a center console, but these seats do have a really nice feature where when you pull them up, there's two little red tabs. If you pull that, you could actually completely remove the rear seats. And so they make it really, really easy. You don't have to have a toolkit. You don't have to screw this, screw that, unbolt this, unbolt that. You could just pull them right out at a whim. And so if you need more space, you get more space. Very, very cool modular thinking from Chrysler in 2003. However, there's even more cool modular thinking from Chrysler in 2003, so let's hop into the back and do a trunk review. All right, so I don't normally do this, but I brought out the hat cam today because the trunk of the PT Cruiser is really, really cool. So I actually get both of my hands here today. First of all, we do have this awesome brochure, which I guess we could go through now. Really, really cool tech, or not tech, but really cool old stuff like this. A little flip out there. These do come with or you could get them with a 2.4 turbo, which is kind of interesting. But really, really cool brochures here, or just this brochure. See, they market it to young people, but young people didn't really buy this. I mean, it's just like a Scion XB or a Kia Soul, because they were so easy to get in and out of, and also, young people don't have money. I don't know why car makers try to get a younger audience than what could probably afford it. Young people don't have money. As a former young person myself, I don't have money. So there you go. Cool little thing there. But that is not even the coolest part of the back space. So obviously back here we do have a 12-volt outlet. As you can see, this one has the key on it. So that means it will only run when the vehicle is on. But this is what we want to talk about. So this is a little privacy shelf. And as you can see here, it has 4 different ways that you can use this. So if you pull it out like this, you could set it up like this. You got a nice shelf. You can even move it up here and use it as a privacy cover. However, if you look under here, it actually has this little twist and pull, and then set that in there and that in there, and it actually says right there, locate shelf leg here. That's what it says. I don't know if that comes across on camera. It's very dark, but now you have a shelf for tailgating. And in the brochures, they actually had people like put food on here and, use it for actual tailgating stuff. So much like a Honda CR-V, you actually get a rear table that comes out of the floor of the PT Cruiser, which is so smart. And then you could just fold this up, twist it like that, take this out and put it back into the floor. Takes a couple of tries. There you go. Put it back into the floor of the PT Cruiser. Absolutely love that. Such a wonderful feature of the back here that I didn't talk about last time. So very, very cool to see. Well, I was about to end this segment, but then I looked up and saw this interesting sticker. Warning, exhaust fume entry possible when liftgate is open. May cause personal injury. Fully close the liftgate when the engine is running. See the owner's manual for more info. Never seen a sticker like that. Pretty interesting there. Gotta love the PT Cruiser. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in deep cranberry, and I adore this paint color. I think it looks fantastic, especially here in a sunny morning in rural Illinois. It's a beautiful, beautiful color, and the styling on the exterior was meant to mimic the late 1930s, early 1940s styling. Take a look at this Plymouth that I drove. Now, this is a later 40s car, but you kind of understand the design language that they were going for. The swoopy fenders, the little lights, things like that. And there was somewhat of an emphasis on the 1930s and 40s in the early 2000s. We got movies like Sin City, that was a sort of film noir style movie. Before we do get on to my final thoughts, for you PT Cruiser nerds out there, I know you're out there watching, I did want to show off, I have PT Cruiser Christmas lights. These were a promotional item from Chrysler back in the day. They actually have a SKU number and everything, and they haven't been opened, but this was just a good time to show off piece of my little collection, PT Cruiser Christmas lights. Yes, they existed, and here they are. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 2003 Chrysler PT Cruiser Limited? Well, I've actually really enjoyed this experience, and going through this car has been a lot of fun for one simple reason. It has a lot to offer, and it has a lot of quirks in here. I know I'm stealing that word from Father Doug, but it does have a lot of interesting oddities. The unfortunate thing about the PT Cruiser, in all honesty, is that Chrysler really nailed it with this car. It's such a good people mover. PT literally stands for personal transportation. It has adequate cup holders, but it goes beyond that. It has the airbags in the seats and the heated seats. It has the power windows in the center, easy to reach for everyone. It has the shelving system in the back that we talked about. It has the removable back seats that are super easy to do, so much so that in the brochure they advertise that you can do that. If you have to haul stuff around, if you own a small plumbing business, you could take the rear seats out and use it as a cargo vehicle. If you need to pick up your grandparents at the airport, they're going to sit happily in the back. They're going to have ample space. The car isn't too low to the ground where it's hard to get in and out of, but it's not lifted where it's hard to get in and out of. And that's what I was going to say is, with the engine power, is that comparing this to a Honda CR-V, another vehicle in the era that had a table in the back, which is a very specific category of car, but it exists, this makes more power than that. It's more powerful than the CR-V. It's a little bit lower than the CR-V, but not on the ground. It has cool retro styling that was unlike anything of the era, besides the other nostalgic cars like the Ford Thunderbird at the time, or the Chrysler Prowler at the time, or the Chevy SSR. Besides vehicles of this style, it wasn't like other vehicles. And so overall, this is really the Nickelback of cars, because I don't really understand why it gets so much hate. Because on paper, and driving it here today, don't understand why. This is a lovely, lovely car, and it doesn't deserve the fate that the internet has given it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Tom for letting me take out his Chrysler PT Cruiser from 2003. I've reviewed a handful of Tom's cars in the past over the last couple of years. Anytime he gets something new, I always hop down here to review it. He's been wonderful to work with, and I appreciate him very, very much. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.